Okay, we are live, I believe. Let me just get myself a little bit more sorted. You guys should be able to see me. Reason that I am streaming not from my normal location, not from my normal, I should say, platform, but rather from my laptop, is because I wanted to talk about and share information about National Historic Preservation Month. Particularly, I wanted to share information regarding the National Register of Historic Places. I'm going to share this tab actually for the time being, because there are over 100,000 listings in the National Register of Historic Places, and Masonic listings represent a pretty significant portion of those listings, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think it's worth sharing and worth talking about. And the next month, I'm going to be every day posting quizzes concerning and regarding Masonic places found on the National Register of Historic Places. I want to show you guys how to be able to answer those questions, how to answer those quizzes. Oops. But for the time being, I just want to see who jumps on. We're going to get a few minutes to people to say hello before we start on the specific talking point, on the specific topic. All righty. Okay. All right. So, as I noted before, this month is National Preservation Month in the United States. It is meant to celebrate and promote the importance of historical places, and particularly the National Register of Historic Places, right? Every May, preservation organizations and preservationists alike, this is from the Waterford Foundation, across the country celebrate National Historic Preservation Month, a chance to get in the community, celebrate the benefits of strengths of Historic Preservation Month, strength of historic preservation, and learn how to keep this preservation going. National Historic Preservation Month was started by the National Trust for Historic Preservation in 1973. This celebration of preservation first started out as National Preservation Week in May of 1973. In 2005, the National Trust expanded Preservation Week to Preservation Month to the entirety of May. Whether it be a week or a month, May is marked by organizations across the country as a time to celebrate the vast, diverse history and heritage resources in the United States. And the work goes into keeping that history alive for future generations. I think when it comes to Freemasonry and our Masonic places, there is zero doubt, zero question, in my opinion, that our Masonic buildings, welcome back, Brother Michael Moore, that our Masonic buildings represent an incredibly valuable part of the architectural, cultural, and historical heritage of the communities, and these places are worthy of preservation, documentation, and celebration, all of which is done through the National Register of Historic Places. So, since we got Michael Moore here, and since we are talking about National Register of Historic Places, let's start with Detroit, particularly the Detroit Masonic Temple. By the way, Brother Michael Moore, how does this sound? Is this sound coming through well? I don't stream a lot through my laptop, so I'm still working on it. So the way that it works, and really what I want to show you now is just how to search the database to find Masonic properties. Now, you could do this for any property in fairness, but we're going to do this specifically for Masonic properties. And we're going to start with Detroit. So first of all, you go to the home. So the website is, it's through the National Park Service, nps.gov/subjects/National Register index HTM. I will put this in the chat so you guys can find it. So this is the home page. From there, you go to database research. Now, if you are interested in actually having your building be listed in the National Register, you can find the information here, how to list the property. You can learn more about what the National Register is here, as well as some of the different benefits being listed in the register provides. But you start here, going to database research. You get to this part here. National Register Database and Research. So how to search the National Archives. Now, it holds the records up to the end of 2012. So anything more recent than 2012 may not be found through the National Archives, but it'll still be listed. The easiest way to look up the property is the searchable table below, or download the spreadsheet. Both contain direct links to the files that have been scanned. If you know the reference number or found in the searchable table below or from our spreadsheet, then follow this link to the National Archives and just replace the reference number with the one you want or the property name. Or you can search by state, or you can search, and we're going to start here, search by keyword. Right? If the file has not been posted online yet, it's post 2012. So any more recent Masonic buildings or any more recent listings of, let's say, Masonic buildings, you can request a copy of the information directly from them, a physical copy, include the name of the property, the state, and the reference number, or as much information as you know on the property. You email the request through that link there. And you can download the data here as well. So this is the listing of, this is the database. Now you can download it on a spreadsheet form, but I find this works really well to search personally. So this is the listing here, or the, this is the list of National Register of Historic Places. So it'll show you up to 100 entries. Now, I find the best way to do this is to search keyword Masonic. And then immediately you get your Masonic results. So for example, Crane Hill Masonic Lodge in Alabama, you can see it goes alphabetical by state. West End Masonic Temple in Alabama, Codaco Opera House, Alabama, Troy Masonic Temple, Alabama. Now you'll notice here, the property name does not list anything Masonic in the property name. However, the building may have been used as a Masonic gathering place at some point, or a Masonic meeting place before or after it was an opera house. The Masons may have used part of it, or there could have been famous Masons, you know, who were, performed at the Opera House, for example. And I'll show you how to find that out shortly. So it lists, you can follow the guide here. You go up to, right now we're in Indiana. Again, Indianapolis Masonic Temple. So again, it goes alphabetical by state. Eventually, you get to the end of it, you can go up to, there's 4 pages, it looks like, right, of results. I think there are, I forget how many numbers there are per each page, but it also goes up and down. It also goes horizontally, left to right. So you have, let me go through each bit of information on this list. We're going to get to the top so you can see it. So, oops. The very first thing you have is the reference number. Here, the property name. Let's do Troy Masonic Temple. Prefix, I'm not sure what the prefix means, to be honest. Property name, Troy Masonic Temple. State, Alabama. County, Pike City, Troy. The street and number. The status, listed, so it's on the list. I think the status could mean listed, or it could mean, being reviewed. Request type, single. I believe this means the number of different, like, was it requested to be listed as a Masonic building, as other types of buildings? It could have more than one, historical request. Restricted address, whether you can see it or not, I believe. Acreage of property, 0.9 acres, so the size of it. Areas of significance, this is incredibly important. Social history, architecture. So why is the building, why is the place relevant? You'll notice for the Troy Masonic Temple, it's considered relevant historically or significant because of its social history and its architecture. You'll notice one down, or actually go 2 down, Masonic Hall in Arizona. It's considered significant for its architectural and its social history as well. Category, property, building. This external link leads to the initial application and additional PDF documents about the building, which we're going to check out in a moment. Significance, international. So again, it's not an internationally significant building. It is locally significant. It's not considered significant nationally, which means, again, if you were to ask, why is this building relevant? Why is it considered significant? It's significant to the local community and the city, not internationally and not nationally. And this was dated. Oh, looks like they actually did have an update. 2024 is when they listed it. Property ID at the very end, 1000111023. This is really important because you'll notice here for the second listing, going all the way back, you'll notice, so reference number 970000655. The property name is Washington County Courthouse. So you might ask, why did this come up in a search of Masonic properties? State, Alabama, County, Washington, City, St. Stephen's, street number. Because you'll notice here, other names, St. Stephen's Masonic Lodge, which could mean that after the courthouse, maybe the courthouse was sold and given to or sold to a Masonic Lodge, and now St. Stephen's Masonic Lodge meets there. Or maybe St. Stephen's Masonic Lodge met there and then it became a courthouse. But that's one of the reasons why, even though the property name is Washington County Courthouse, it still shows up on a search. You'll find it here, search term for Masonic. So I want to go to specifically the Detroit Masonic building. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a city search. I'm going to go alphabetically because I figured Detroit, can't be that far. Oh, here we're already in Dubuque, Detroit. Here it is. Detroit Masonic Temple in Michigan. So reference number 80001920, Detroit Masonic Temple, State of Michigan, Wayne County, City of Detroit, 500 Temple Avenue is the address. Listed single. Acreages of property is 2. So it's 2 acres. I don't know if people know that. Area of significance for the Detroit Masonic Temple: art, engineering, architecture, and social history. Category of property: building. Here's the external link, which we'll check out in a second. That's the original PDF files or the documents of when they applied for the listing. Level of significance: international, false; local, false; national, true. So the Detroit Masonic Temple is considered nationally significant. Honestly, I'd have to double check how it works, if it's possible to be significant in more than one of these levels, because I would argue it is nationally significant and locally significant and internationally significant. But I'm wondering if there's a rule that you can be one of the 3, because the theory would be if you're nationally significant, then by definition, you're locally significant as well, I suppose, is how they work it. And if you're internationally significant, then you're obviously also nationally and locally significant. I'm wondering if the theory behind that. It was listed November 28th, 1980. Property ID 80001920. So then if we go over here to the external link, these are from the archives, the National Archives. Again, sorry, I got it mixed up. These archives, I believe, are, these files go up to 2012, and they're still working on more advanced ones. So the listing may be more recent, but if you want to find this paperwork, these archives, which you should be seeing on your screen in just one moment. Let me just share this tab. I believe these date to anything earlier than 2012. Anything later, they're still working on it. So this is the National Archives catalog. Okay, so this is 2012 or earlier. Michigan SP, Detroit Masonic Temple. 1 file, 73 pages. This is the United States Department of the Interior Heritage Conservation and Recreational Services National Register of Historic Places Inventory Nomination Form. You'll notice the date, October 29th, 1980, received, entered November 28th, 1980. And again, it's 73 documents. Access is unrestricted. You can download this if you want it for your records. Oops, let me see if I can get a better result here. I did download this, so I'm wondering if I may have to, because I can't seem to. All right. Let us oops, no, I don't want that. All right, we just clicked on 8001920. And we have the registration forms. Share this tab. We're going to close this down. We're going to close this one down. So this is the hello, Jeremy. How's it going? Let me know if I say it, if I look all right. Again, I don't usually stream from my laptop. So this is the National Registry of Historic Places Inventory Nomination Form for the Detroit Masonic Temple. And you'll notice the number here. Where was it? And if you can see this, the number listed on the PDF file is 80001920, which is the same as the, I'm just going to share this tab for just 1 second, which is the same as the property ID of the Detroit Masonic Temple. So if you were contacting the National Archives and you wanted to look up a particular property and particularly find this documentation, you would use the property ID 80001920. Going back to share this tab instead. So this was from the Detroit Masonic Temple, the registration of historic places nomination form. You can see the historic name and the common name are the same. Both of which are Detroit Masonic Temple. Oops. Location, street number, city, state, etc., etc. Classification, building. Owner of property, Masonic Temple Association of Detroit. Location of legal description. Representing in existing surveys. Description, condition excellent, unaltered, original site. So the condition in 1980 was excellent. It still is excellent, by the way. Unaltered and original site. So it wasn't moved. It would be a pretty challenging thing to move that building, I will say. I don't think they could do it. This is the describe the present and original, if known, physical appearance. The Detroit Masonic Temple is located about 1/2 mile north of the Central Business District to the west of Woodward Avenue, facing Cass Park, a large landscape city park. Although the area was developed in the late 19th century as a middle-class residential area of detached single-family houses, by the 1920s, it was being redeveloped to accommodate large institutional structures and apartment buildings. Today, Cass Park houses a large city-owned vocational high school, Detroit Institute of Technology, several apartment and office buildings, and the Masonic Temple. Remnants of the Victorian residential fabric survive on the side streets around Cass Park. Masonic Temple was built both as a lodge hall complex for 47 fraternal orders and as a civic center for the city of Detroit. As a result, it is comprised of 4 different structures that are unified by a single exterior architectural treatment. Basically, the temple is composed of the Shrine Club, a 10-story tower, the Ritual Building, a 14-story tower, and the Auditorium Building, a long, low 7-story wing that connects the 2 towers. All are flat roof structures sheathed in Indiana limestone and unified by the same austere vertical English Gothic architectural treatment. The 4th part of the structure is the vast 3-level subterranean entertainment and recreational complex, and vast is correct. The imposing Cass Park front extending 400 feet east from the corner of the 2nd Avenue along Temple Avenue is the principal elevation. It is simply finished with flush masonry with carving and tracery at the portals and windows. The arched window strips inset within deep beveled stone, braziers and the soaring octagonal stair turrets give the building the vertical character that dominates its design. For the most part, the exterior of the structure is Spartanly simple, with the carved detailing and perpendicular Gothic massing to establish its character. The only other elevation of consequence faces Second Avenue. This side of the ritual building is similar in design to the facade with its Gothic detailing and vertical emphasis, except that it is nearly devoid of windows. The east and north elevations are finished in plain brick and limestone without formal articulation. Although the exterior of the building is outstanding for its sheer size, superb craftsmanship, and distinguished design, the interior is perhaps even more remarkable for its complexity and magnificence. I would agree with that, by the way. I think the exterior is incredible, but the interior is incredible as well. So I think they're both pretty incredible. Right? The interior is divided into 4 distinct structures that are interconnected at different levels. The ritual building is a 14-story tower containing 8 major lodge rooms, the Scottish Rite Cathedral, and the Knights Templar Commandery. All of the magnificently decorated lodge halls, the cathedral, and the commandery are provided with expansive suites of service rooms, including handsome parlors, anterooms, robing rooms, Tyler passages, cloak rooms, rest rooms, service rooms, and other special purpose chambers. Between each of the 7 major floors is a mezzanine level where offices and service rooms are fitted onto 2-story high lodge halls. 2 staircases located in the front turrets flanking the entrance rise through the ritual building from a magnificent first-floor lobby to an equally large elevator lobby on each of the 7 major floors. The main lobby is a 2-story space decorated in the Sicilian Renaissance style with a mezzanine level balcony. There is a patterned black and white marble floor insert with a large brass medallion, plaster walls scored to imitate masonry, carved oak doors, cast bronze elevator doors with symbolic Masonic motifs, and a bronze and brass mezzanine railing, gilded moldings and friezes, ornate metal chandeliers, painted wooden beam ceilings, staircases, newel posts. Just think about the work that goes into nominating a building for these historical designations or registrations, right? This is 73 pages of information about the Detroit Masonic Temple. And by the way, they had to hand type this, just for the record. All of this is about the ritual rooms at the moment. Corinthian-style lodge rooms, mezzanine in the front hall of the ritual building. By the way, I would suspect the Detroit Masonic Temple probably has a copy of this somewhere as well. But it's nice that the National Archives have this. Greek Doric Lodge Room. In the center of the 5th floor is the Greek Ionic Lodge Room. 6th floor was intended to contain 2 more large lodge hall suites that were never built, with additional supper rooms and kitchens on the mezzanine. Between the 6th floor mezzanine and the 7th floor is a level of fan rooms and ventilation plenums. The 7th floor and mezzanine were completed as offices in the front of the building with a large auditorium, the 3rd degree auditorium occupying the rear half of the space. Because it was not needed, the seats were never installed and the auditorium never been used. I'm actually curious what it's used for now, if it's still quiet. By the way, if you want to see this in person, take a tour of the Masonic Temple. It's incredible. The second structure in the Masonic Temple complex is the auditorium wing, which lies between the ritual building on the west and the Shrine Club on the east. Although connected to each by interior passages, the 7th-story auditorium building is virtually a separate entity. The main entrance in the center of the Temple Avenue facade leads to the spacious lobby, flanked by 2 large sitting rooms, each with its own coat check room. A curving foyer corridor circumscribing the auditorium leads to additional cloakrooms and the entrances to the auditorium. The auditorium itself is vast, approximately square space, 4 stories tall, that seats 4,600 people, decorated in the Venetian Gothic style. Locker rooms, shower rooms, small sections of front used as the band room. So just look at the amount of work that goes into nominating a building the size of the Detroit Masonic Temple. The builder architect was George D. Mason. It was built from 1922 to 1926. Areas of significance: architecture, art, engineering, and social/humanitarian. The Detroit Masonic Temple is historically significant as the home of the oldest order of Masons in Michigan and as a monument to the culmination of the growth of Freemason Michigan. It is architecturally significant as the largest Masonic temple in the world and one of the most ornate and structurally complex building of its kind ever constructed. It is also significant for its role in the cultural and artistic life of Detroit. I would agree with that 100%. Hello, your local Spurs fan. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Freemason Michigan had its start on April 27, 1764, when a few civilians and British soldiers at the 5-year-old British garrison at Fort Pontchartrain in Detroit met in a blockhouse to organize Zion Lodge No. 1 as the first regularly constituted Masonic Blue Lodge west of the Allegheny Mountains. The lodge operated under a charter granted by the Grand Lodge of England through the Provincial Grand Lodge of New York until after the American War of Independence, when it was rechartered through the Provincial Grand Lodge of Quebec. In 1807, it was rechartered under the Grand Lodge of New York. By 1826, there was enough Masonic lodges in operation in Michigan that the Grand Lodge of Michigan was formed in Detroit, with Old Zion Lodge and a few others in the area under its jurisdiction. For many years, however, there was no Masonic temple in Detroit, and the lodges met in rented quarters. Finally, in 1851, the Monroe Chapter No. 1 constructed the state's first Masonic temple on Jefferson Avenue in Detroit. It was used by all of Detroit's Masonic bodies until 1881. When it was outgrown, various other structures were occupied until 1896, when a combined effort of the Detroit Masonic bodies, the Scottish Rite bodies, and the Muslim Temple joined to form the Detroit Masonic Temple Association, resulting in the construction of a combined temple at Lafayette Boulevard and First Street. Although intended to provide for the needs of Freemasonry in Detroit for the following 50 years, the planners had underestimated the phenomenal growth of Detroit in the early 20th century. By 1908, the structure was crowded to capacity and plans for its expansion were contemplated. Instead, a massive effort was begun to acquire the new site and build a larger building. In 1913, the present site was acquired, and in 1922, the cornerstone laid for the foundation of the new structure, completed in 1926. The size and opulence of the structure reflects the prosperity of Detroit in the 1920s. You'll notice amongst other things, when it was completed, it was the largest and perhaps the most elaborate Masonic temple in the world, a distinction it still retains. George D. Mason designed the structure, who designed the temple to serve as both a Masonic temple and a city cultural center. I think our best Masonic buildings are designed to be both. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about them, is when they are both. Hello, the Retry Nation. Welcome back. And Jeremy, welcome back. Good. Don't be arguing with anybody. Arguing does not help anything, even though I argue all the time. Craftsmanship and artistry lavished upon the decorations of the building is impressive, as the technical aspects of its design. Literally thousands of feet of painted and gilded moldings and friezes had to be designed to complement the unique period decor of each of the different lodge halls and public rooms. Thousands of square feet of stenciling and frescoing for the walls and ceilings had to be designed and executed. Hundreds of molded plaster decorations, ranging from portrait medallions to entire strapwork ceilings, had to be cast. Thousands of board feet of fine hardwoods were fashioned into paneling, and beamed ceilings trimmed with carved moldings and decoration. 9 unique suites of fine furniture were designed and constructed to furnish the lodge halls, as well as hundreds of light fixtures and thousands of pieces of hardware. To accomplish the awesome task of decorations, the structure, an army of woodworkers, stone carvers, cabinet makers, glaziers, tile setters, plasterers, molders, painters, stencilers, and metal workers were kept busy under the direction of the architects George D. Mason and Company, as well as Anthony Di Lorenzo Studios of New York, one of the most distinguished artisan decorating firms of the early 20th century. The Detroit Masonic Temple is also significant for its role in the cultural life of Detroit. It has served as the showplace of Detroit entertainment for, at that time, over 50 years, now over 100. As the largest auditorium in the city suitable for live entertainment, this was in 1980, keep in mind, it has housed most famous entertainers who have visited Detroit, ranging from soloists such as Rubinstein and Horowitz to large companies including the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, the New York Metropolitan Opera, and the San Francisco Ballet, to such popular cultural attractions as the Rolling Stones rock music band. Until the construction of the Edsel and Eleanor Ford Auditorium in 1956, it was the one place in the city where such large-scale touring cultural events could be housed. And then you have their sources. I guess it is 1,962 square feet. We're going to have some technical photos, I believe, or maps. Oh, check this out. This is the... Have you ever seen these, by the way, Michael Moore, if you're still there? These beautiful, absolutely beautiful original what's it called? The blueprints and designs. Retry Nation, I think you may need to take off again if your brother's shouting at you. Maybe find some, sort it out with your brother first. Michael Moore, did you see them in this package, or did you see them, like, are they in the building somewhere? Like, is this a package you've seen before? I will say this, I don't think any building is probably more deserving to be on the National Register database of historic places, at least no Masonic building, than the Detroit Masonic Temple. It is absolutely a gorgeous, gorgeous building. This is where they kind of got these from. You can see here. Oh, there's 26 of these different photographs. Trying to see, I wonder if we can get a close-up view of them. Maybe get a little closer. I've seen the original blueprints as well. I can imagine. Oh my gosh, that'd be really cool to see. I'm sure that'd be beautiful to see the original blueprints, like the actual originals. I've seen them for the Windsor Masonic Temple. I've taken pictures of them. They're actually located at the archives of the library. Never seen them for Detroit, but I'm sure that'd be a beautiful thing to see. And I hope that they're well preserved. I'm sure you guys do a great job at that. Your building is really great at preserving these documents and just preserving itself in general, to its credit. Check out this incredible cross section. Just think about, oops, all of the absolute incredible work that goes into, and again, I mean, this was built from 1922 to 1926. So just think about all of the work that would go into building something this magnificent, this intricate, this long lasting, this significant. Um, it's a really beautiful building. And also credit to the Masons in 1980 who took the time to gather all of this information to put this package together and send it to the National Register database. And then credit to the National Register database for, first of all, granting the listing, although of course they should, but also to the National Archives for digitizing these documents, preserving them, and then making them available to the public. This would be very valuable for any type of local historians and researchers and people just interested in learning more about architecture, history, and Freemasonry, and the cultural history of Detroit as well. And then we got some of these. That's a beautiful photograph of the Detroit Masonic Temple. Absolutely stunning. If you're a Mason and you ever want to do like a Masonic pilgrimage, I don't like the term pilgrimage because that's a bit religious, but nonetheless, I think Detroit needs to be on your list. Detroit, Philadelphia, United Grand Lodge of England, Windsor, why not? Because I love it. St. Mary's Chapel, wouldn't be a bad place to go. But make Detroit, make that be on your list for sure. It'd be interesting to see, in your experience, Michael, if you like can see the changes, or especially with these interior shots, right? I know, like I've been to Detroit Masonic Temple a bunch of times, and I've always loved it. Like I've this is still the same. This here is still the same. The floor is still the same. Off the top of my head, I can't see a lot that's different between 1980 and today, but I'm not there as often as others, so there may be things I'm missing. But again, to think of taking the time to collect all of these pictures and documents. One of the lodge rooms. Again, this picture was taken in 1980. I know the ceiling, the roof is still the same. I believe these lights are still the same as well. These columns are still there, obviously. Dated November 28th, 1980. Oh, sorry, no. This picture was taken July 31st, 1980, and then submitted 1980 by Store Spellman Studios in Woodward Avenue. There's different dates on here, but according to this, 7/31/1980. Those phone booths now have 1950s phones. This is not, Freemasonry is not Scientology, but JJ, welcome. Please hit like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. This is a pretty beautiful shot. I've seen this room before, I believe. Oh, I recognize this room. I think these guys are still there. I think the knights are still there. Obviously, the wood paneling is still there. That clock I recognize. The roof. I don't think all these chairs are still there, though, for whatever it's worth. This room, I recognize it. as does Michael Moore, I'm sure, as does anybody from Detroit Masonry. It's gorgeous. It's one of the most beautiful rooms in the Detroit Masonic Temple. Very often, if I recall correctly, used for weddings. Oops. More lodge rooms. I recognize this room. I'm very fond of it. I've been to a few Masonic meetings in this room as well. Again, a lot of stuff from the 1980s still there. I'm sure the light bulbs have been switched a few times. Just going through so we can find anything else that's, again, getting the different shots, different views of it. Oh, here's the auditorium. Let's see if we can go down to it. Oh, beautiful auditorium. Hosted the Rolling Stones, right? So you got to give credit to that, if nothing else. Another shot. Oh, a full, I'm not sure which show this was. I should say up here. Detroit Masonic Temple. The auditorium looking from the stage. Doesn't say what the date of that show was. Auditorium during a performance looking east from balcony. Give us a possible time or date. Maybe we could figure out what show that was or what performance that was. Gymnasium. Doesn't give a date of what performance that was. I'd be curious to know. Just says the auditorium during a performance looking east from the balcony. Drill Hall, Detroit Masonic Temple. Drill Hall looking west. Oops. I wanted to show that. That's a cool picture. Actually, what room is that? The barbershop? Or is that the front? Shrine Club lobby. So this is the Shrine Club lobby, I believe. I'm guessing that dispensed cigarettes. Very different time in the 1980s. You're not going to see any cigarette dispensing machines in 2026. Yes, they do. I want to see the roller girls play there. I think they also have wrestling there, right? If I'm not mistaken, if I recall correctly. Let me know if I'm incorrect, but I believe they also have wrestling there sometimes. Fancy, fancy dinner coming up. What room is that? Is that the drill hall and gymnasium as well? I don't think I've ever seen that room before. Might say here. Fountain ballroom. I guess it looks like a fountain ballroom. Looks like fountains. So missing documentation, 19 more photographs. I don't know if that means they didn't get them, if that means they didn't get them digitized or what that means, but here's a map of where the Detroit Masonic building would be located. I am submitting for your review one National Register nomination prepared by the Michigan History Division of the Michigan Department of State, Detroit Masonic Temple, So a big thank you to, I think, is owing to every Mason who organized, gathered, and took part in creating these documents, as well as the Michigan History Division of the Michigan Department of State for submitting the nomination. Detroit, Wayne County. We're going to go back to this one. So that, I mean, is just, again, we're lucky that those documents are available because the listing and the designation took place pre-2012, right? Any building that received its designation before 2012, the documents are available via external link. But that's Detroit Masonic Temple, very well deserving of its listing in the National Registry of Historic Places. Been there since 1980, under, we'll note it once more time, significance for engineering, art, architecture, and social history, and considered nationally significant. I would argue you could even state it as being internationally significant, but they went with national. And again, just you can search by city, you can search by county, you can search by state. It'll go alphabetically. You can search by property name. You can search by the reference number if you have it, 80001920. And again, in the National Archives, those documents I was reviewing, they are found under the property ID, or going back this way, the reference number, which are both the same, 80001920. I mean, if you go to, let's say, I'm going to guess a smaller one, like, I'm going to go through this one more time. You'll notice here, again, so we did a search under the database with the term Masonic. You'll notice here, reference number 080000328. The property name is Interstate Power Company Building. You might ask, what does that have to do with Masonic at all? But if you go to the other end of the spreadsheet, you'll see other names, Masonic Hall Dubuque Electric Company, which means at some point before or after it was the Interstate Power Company building, it was a Masonic Hall. It could have been that it was built as a Masonic Hall first and then purchased by the Interstate Power Company building, or vice versa. But when they listed it, or when they tried to nominate it, it was probably owned by the Interstate Power Building Company. So it was probably a Masonic Hall first and then sold. But again, because this would have been in 2008, which is pre-2012, the National Archives have digitized the documentation, and you can find it here. I'm just curious. I'm going to go through this one as well because I'm kind of curious what it says. So this is 63 pages, not quite 73. Again, if I'm going to share this tab for just 1 second. I'd love that, Brother Michael Moore. That would be incredible. I have been on the behind the scenes tour before. I loved it. It was super awesome. So you'll notice here, we are on the nomination and the document related to the nomination and the registration of the, what one was it again? The Interstate Power Company building of Iowa, aka Masonic Hall. You'll notice here, files available for download. You'll notice the number 080000328. Again, if you go to this tab, the dates, you'll see 08000328. So these documents are preserved or stored based on their reference number or property number, which is the same thing. 08000328. If you go here, once again, you will see 08000328. You click on that, and you come across the National Register of Historic Places registration form. So again, this registration form dates to 2008. So it looks different than the Detroit form from 1980, right? It's about 28 years separate. So obviously it's going to be a different form. Would have been done on a computer, whereas the Detroit one would have been done on a typewriter. Again, you have the basic information. Ownership of property would be private. So you'll notice functions or use, social meeting hall right there. So I'm guessing when it was a social meeting hall under historic functions, it was a Masonic social or meeting hall. But you'll notice right now, vacant, not in use, meaning it's no longer being used as a social meeting hall, which means the Masons would have sold it at some point in its history. And I'm sure if we find it eventually, oops. We will find a reference to being a Masonic lodge. Let's see. I wonder if I can do a Control F search, see if I can see anything about Mason. Oh, here it is. Other names, Masonic Hall. 1 of 7. It is a commercial design with a prominent raised parapet front. A rectangular stone panel centered on the parapet front bears Masonic symbols that evokes the building's secondary role, that of Masonic Hall. Contains a carved stone Masonic panel. On the 3rd floor, a clear Masonic Hall, clear span. The 3rd floor is the former Masonic Hall space, and it too remains structurally open with a few offices clustering along the north wall. The vault does not extend to this level. Later historical photographs show Masonic emblems on the 3rd floor windows. So again, it's a little example of, as a historian, or someone who's interested in Masonic history or interested in architectural history or just interested in history in general, the National Register of Historic Places. And what better time to search this than during Preservation Month? Oops. Did you guys lose me at all, or did you guys find me? Am I still here? I think we might have had a loss there for a second. Let me know if you guys can still see me, if we didn't lose anything. Unfortunately, sometimes this can be a challenging. That's why I prefer using my my phone. I want to give it a couple minutes. I want to make sure we're still good. All right. We can try one more. Let's try Los Angeles, because we're still searching by city for the record. So we got to go to the L's. We're at E, F, Probably page 2, I would think. I'm curious if there's anything in Los Angeles. LM. So we're at the M's, so we can go back. City. Here it is, City, Los Angeles. Well, we've got the Highland Park Masonic Temple, Prince Hall Masonic Temple. I'm surprised the Hollywood Masonic Temple isn't on there. Well, let's try, because I'm curious. Let's try Highland Park Masonic Temple. Areas of significance, architectural, social history. Again, because this building is 1990, we have the archive documents available. One file, 38 pages. So much less than the other pages, that's for sure. Again, you click on this reference number 89002268, which is the same as the reference number in the database. And you get its registration form. Let me see if we can. Now, again, this is unique to America, but Canada has a similar, Canada does have a similar database. I'm sure many countries do as well. So see if we can find some pictures of it. The Highland Park Masonic Temple is a 2-story masonry structure constructed with rectangular building plan designed in a Mediterranean Spanish revival style. Among its prominent architectural features are the applied Mediterranean and classical ornament associated with the style. Second-story arch balcony. The building was rehabilitated in 1988 as a certified rehabilitation in conformance with interiors guidelines. See if we can find some pictures of it. Oh, I'm going to take this down a little bit. These are I love the old school blueprints and stuff. I think it's really cool. Here's some pictures of it. How cool is that? Again, you can basically explore from the comfort of your computer. There's the square and compasses, all these really cool Masonic buildings. I'm curious if I can find, if I go to places that I've loved, maybe outside of Masonry for a second, if I can find some cool stuff. Or actually, let's go Chicago Masonry, because there's some incredible Masonic buildings in Chicago. So we're going to go. Although I've been to Chicago so much, in some ways I feel like, that's kind of cheating. But nonetheless, so we're searching by city. We have it alphabetically set. So, A is Albuquerque, and then it goes through. So D, so we're going to go up. We're going to see if we can find any buildings in Chicago that are listed in the historical designation or historical registry as relates to Freemasonry or Masonic. Oh, there we go. We got one. Chicago, 20 West Randolph Street. New Masonic Building and Oriental Theater, reference number 7800 3401. See, acreage 0.9, areas of significant entertainment, recreation, architecture. It became, so level of significance national. I feel like it should be international as well. It was listed in 1978. Other names, Oriental Theater. Right now, it's actually the Nederlander Theater. They changed it again. Click on this. This is from the National Archives. You'll notice one file, which is the nomination form. We're just waiting for the PDF to show up. 260 pages. So that's the most pages, most application pages we've seen thus far. You'll notice, again, files available for download 78003401, which is the same. I'm going to go back to it one more time, just because I want people to know how to search. Which is the same as its property ID here or its reference number. So that's how you find it. Okay, so I'm hoping this isn't going to cause issues with the stream because it's so big. Again, 200 and I think it was 83 pages. But let's click on that nonetheless. We're going to share this tab. In 1 second. And we're going to close the other tab. Share this tab instead. Let's close this tab. Just making sure it's going to go through. There we go. 260 pages, excuse me, 260 pages. This was from 1978. So a couple years before Detroit registered theirs. I've been to this building a few times, actually. I've got pictures of it. Classification, building, ownership, private, status occupied, accessible, yes, unrestricted, present use, commercial, entertainment. We'll give it 1 second. The Oriental Theater is located at 20 West Randolph Street in the Civic Tower building, New Masonic building. Both were designed by the Chicago firm of Rapp and Rapp. The Oriental opened its doors on May 8, 1926, and Chicago added one more shining gem to its crown of cinema palaces. The impressive Masonic building was completed later that year. So it was a theater first, then a Masonic building. The office's structure rises to a height of 24 stories and is of steel frame construction. I'm going to see if I can find some cool pictures of it. I mean, again, haven't seen near enough of the inside as I'd like. Oh, here's some old school blueprints, which I've always really loved. Historian notes, insert photos. So this is all from, now it's the Nederlander Theater. It was the Oriental Theater. These were taken in 1978. Let's see if we can find any specific Masonic references. Because again, it was a Masonic building as well as a theater. Oh, there's the outside of it. The square and compasses are located here, like kind of where the where my arrow is pointing, where my cursor is pointing. What a beautiful interior. Trying to find the specific Masonic references. Oh, notice it says here, new Masonic building plus Oriental Theater, Cook County, Illinois. Again, new Masonic building and Oriental Theater, Cook County, Illinois. Map of it. I'm hoping we might see some actual pictures of so here, I've talked about this before, and I think this is worth taking a moment to focus on. If you have a historical building and you are trying to get it with some type of historical designation, either at the local or national or state level or provincial level, getting letters from a variety of representatives in your area that could include the mayor, city councilors, people who took part and used your building, maybe people who performed in your building or have a relationship to it, is incredibly helpful and incredibly important. So taking the time to contact, for example, your local congressman, right? Or your chief congressional liaison division, asking them if they can write a letter of support for the preservation of a building is incredibly important, or getting this listed. Or in some cases, you have people who fight against it. That's interesting. But I guess it does make sense that you have the right to argue against something if you so choose. I'm trying. I mean, I'm happy to say that the building was not torn down. I think that's a good thing because it's an incredible building. A lot of handwritten letters, handwritten notes, telephone reports, press clippings. I'm wondering if I can find, the downtown development boom. I'm very happy to say that when it came to North Loop plan, here are some of the newspaper clippings. It's really interesting to see them saving like all of these, not just the official documents, but all these handwritten notes. See if we can find more like specific Masonic references. There are 110 references about Freemasonry in this document. So let's see what we can find. Name, new Masonic building and Oriental Theater. The Oriental Theater and 8 floors of Masonic halls are housed in a large structure at the rear, which is also of steel frame with reinforced concrete. There it is. Recessed spandrels ornamented with heraldic shields, serpents, and the Masonic logo separate these stories. The Oriental Theater and surrounding Masonic buildings and auditoriums were designed in 1925. Again, 1920s, critical, important decade for Freemasonry and Masonic buildings. The, Chicago, Windsor, Detroit, Bay City, Norfolk was the 1950s, excuse me, a bunch I'm missing. The following is a chronology of events pertaining to the nomination of the of the new Masonic building. I want to see if I can find any pictures specifically of the Masonic items therein contained. Oops. Looking for some pictures. Looking for some pictures of the ornamental detail of the United Masonic Temple building is more in the outmoded Gothic style than in the student first Art Deco. The facade of the United Masonic Temple building, by comparison, is unimaginative pastiche. It's pretty harsh. I'm trying to see if I can find any pictures of the Masonic kind of logos, just so you guys can see them. Oh, here's the photographs. All right. So Randolph Street facade of the United Masonic Temple building. I've actually passed that doorway several times. This little cool note. It's in the North Loop. Lobby of the United Masonic Temple building. One of the floors that contains the original marble floors and original doors. Masonic. Oh, so this photo shows a former Masonic lodge hall on the 9th floor, renovated for open office space by the engineering firm. That ceiling looks Masonic to me, though. This is by far, so 9th floor renovated office space. This is by far the best space in the United Masonic Temple building. Originally a Masonic lodge hall, it is being adaptively reused by the engineering firm of Weisinger & Holland for open office cubicles. This space is immediately adjacent to that of the preceding photographs, and the two lodge halls have been opened and connected by the removal of the original partition wall. Plaster ceiling ornamentation has been restored to its original condition. That does look like something that you would see in the 1920s. Masonic Lodge Hall, 12th floor, presently used as a classroom, presently being 1978. Again, the ceiling, the roof. That looks very Masonic to me. There you go. We're going to go back to this one. If anybody wants me to look up a particular building, let me know. I will do my best to see if I can find it. See if it's contained in the registry. Can't make any promises, but let me know and I'll see what I can find. Trying to think if there might be a small town Masonic building that would be fun to check out. Sometimes the smaller town Masonic buildings are really cool. Trying to see if I can recognize like a small town. I mean, not Denver. Denver's pretty big, obviously. Already did Detroit. What, Devil's Lake, North Dakota? Devil's Lake Masonic Temple, North Dakota. Area of significance, architecture, exclusively architecture. That's interesting. Level of significance, local. Date listed 2001, September 1st, 2001. That's an interesting other name, 32YR350. I'm not sure where that comes from. Let's check it out. This will be the last one. Then I'm going to go on to look up some stuff in some places I really like Glenview, just because I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful town. Why not look? 34 pages. This is a smaller one. Again, we go here, which is the reference number. And we click on this here. And we got 34 pages. Let's share this tab instead. The fact that this is called Devil's Lake means all the conspiracy theorists are going to have a field day with it. Oops, there we go. This is from 2001. So again, the paperwork looks different. Devil's Lake Masonic Temple. See if we can find. So ownership, private, category building, historic functions, social meeting hall, current functions, social meeting hall as well. Period of significance, 1916, areas, architecture. So just slightly before the big 1920s boom period. The original Whitney windows were replaced in 1959 because they were being vandalized in order to conserve heat in the building. Nice to know that some problems never end. Oh, I want to see if I can get some better. See if we can go back a little bit. Here's the blueprints. Again, smaller building, but that's okay. Sometimes the smaller buildings are the most special ones or have the most beauty. Oh, and there's the building itself. I hope you guys have been paying attention because there's going to be a lot of quizzes about this stuff. Thank you, Brother Michael Moore. I'm grateful. Oh, we got Eastern Star there as well represented. It's always nice to see. That looks like it's facing towards the senior warden's chair. Picture taken October 26, 1977. Beautiful chandelier. Masonic Temple, Devil's Lake. That's the facade. Talk about gorgeous. Picture of where it's located. Nomination form. To the State Historical Society of North Dakota. All right. I'm going to do one more just because I'm curious and I love the city. So let's see. I know one for sure actually will be or have some Masonic elements in it. Glenview. Let's share this page. If you know me, you know I love Glenview, and so why not, just out of curiosity, if there's anything there. There's one page. Looks like there's 3 entries. Oh, but nothing from Illinois. Oh, no, wait, hold on. Let's go state. Oh, here it is. Glenview. There's 2. There's Hangar 1 Naval Air Station, and there's Kennecott's Grove. Oh, am I still there? Let's see. Did you guys lose me? Oh, there we go. I think we're good. I think you guys have got me now. Sorry about that if there was a delay. It's interesting. I've been to this place a million times. Education, Science, Agriculture. Looks like it was dated 1973, and this one was dated 1998. So I'm going to click on this one. Interestingly enough, the 49 pages. Okay, going to share this tab instead. Just going to give this a couple minutes, and I'll be ending this stream again. I'll be going back to my phone to a bit more vertical live streaming. Although this has been a lot of fun, and you're going to see a lot of poll questions about this, so be prepared for that. It's looking for the pictures. Because I want to see if it's a place I visited in Glenview before. I think I have, but I think it's because it's where basically the Glen is now. So, but let's check out some of these pictures. Oops. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's where the Glen is now. So cool. All right. I think we're going to be ending this stream, but I will be back on very shortly. Back on my personal or back on my cell phone, just do a little bit more vertical live streaming because I always enjoy that. But to everybody who is here, I hope you guys were watching and paying close attention because we're going to have some more quizzes and there may be some prizes if you were successful in answering the quizzes. All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all soon. I hope you enjoyed checking out the National Register database, particularly the Masonic properties and Masonic places listed therein, including Detroit, several Chicago. There's a lot of them. So we'll be asking about it every day this month. So please make sure to check it out. And I'll see you all soon. All right. Bye. That's right, Gooey. Usually I'm going to try to do it every day around 9 or 10 p.m. So we shall see. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.